What is up everyone, and welcome to some more F123 My Team Career Mode. Last time out we were at the Hungarian Grand Prix, and after having a really strong race for the majority of the race, we unfortunately were stricken with a engine failure with just a few laps to go, and that cost us what potentially could have been a podium. We were running about P3, P4. We certainly were on for a big haul of points, maybe one of the biggest hauls of points I've ever picked up in a Hungarian Grand Prix before. But yeah, it just wasn't meant to be. But hopefully we will be able to bounce back now for the Belgian Grand Prix. We're going to have two opportunities to score points this weekend. It is, of course, a sprint weekend. So yeah, we're going to have the 8-lap sprint followed by the 22-lap normal race, I guess. I always want to call it a feature race, but obviously that is F2 terminology, so would not be necessarily correct. It is, of course, the last race before the summer break, which is something that we are coming to the end of now in real life. This video hopefully will be out before the Dutch Grand Prix. I'm recording it on Tuesday, so here's hoping. But yeah, looking forward to the Formula One finally being back after a long break, and maybe with it my schedule will start to be a bit more consistent at the moment. Unfortunately, these sprint videos just take a little bit longer to do than the normal videos, because you know they obviously they take a little bit longer to record, they take a little bit longer to edit, and then they take a little bit longer to do the voiceover. All in all, you know, a sprint weekend probably adds an extra, I'd say, like, you know, hour, maybe hour and a half to the whole process of making the video, which actually, you know, it does add up in the long term, because I usually spend my entire morning recording and editing the video, and obviously if you have to add an hour and a half to that process, it stops being really feasible unless I work at absolute madman pace. But then you leave yourself open to potentially, you know, having mistakes and stuff like that in the video. So yeah, it was a control electronics failure that hit us last time out, which was unfortunate, but it is what it is. Other than that, all of our components seem to be fine, so we're going to try and run with them and take them going forward in the race, and see if we can hold on to them. A few of them were around the upper 50s, which I was a little bit concerned about, obviously, because it is a sprint weekend. We're going to be doing slightly more laps than we usually would. But, you know, I'm just going to see if it'll work. You know, I think it should be absolutely fine. Even if you go beyond 75%, it's usually okay. So, yeah, I'm feeling like we're going to be okay. In practice, we were actually fastest, which was kind of amazing to me. But, yeah, we seem to have pretty good pace. We didn't have amazing tyre wear, I found. We had a slightly higher tyre wear than sort of what was expected. But I'm hoping that, irrespective of that, we should still be able to showcase some pretty strong pace, and you know, come out swinging in the qualifying, but more importantly in the sprint and in the race. We will be taking a 10-place grid penalty here for that control electronics change, because it's now our third one of the season. Unfortunately, both of them have failed. It's very annoying, because if you don't have a control electronics failure throughout the season, you can usually get to the end of the season on sometimes one, never mind two. It's one of the components that probably wears out the slowest in my experience, but it is important that you have a working one, because otherwise it wears out all of your other components super quickly. It's basically the component that controls component wear, so it is very important to have a functioning control electronics unit, hence why we're taking the grid penalty. Yeah, we make our way into Q1, and obviously the target here has to be really in Belgium. I reckon if we were topping the practice session, we have to really be looking at like top 5 here, I reckon, in qualifying. And I really do believe that we have the pace to do it. We do a 142.8 to kick things off on a set of fresh soft compound tyres, but it wasn't a very good lap. And I went again on the soft compound tyres, because I was thinking to myself, well, I know that there's definitely room for some improvement there. And lo and behold, there was a lot of room for improvement, and we improved by 1.1 seconds as we come up to the line. And not only does that see us through to Q2, but it sees us through in 3rd place. So yeah, if we can match that level of performance for the ensuing sessions, then we could be on for a really good qualifying here in Belgium. No real shock eliminations here. You know, the Alpine is not very good at the moment, so seeing Ocon and Gasly out isn't too much of a surprise. And then we've got De Vries, Sargent, Fittipaldi, and Hauger in last. So yeah, the car starting to tail off a little bit, perhaps, as Dennis Hauger can't make his way off the final spot on the grid. But yeah, I say that thing about Alpine not being very good, but if I remember correctly, we were battling with them for a podium in Hungary. I think Gasly was right up there, if I remember correctly. So maybe he was just having an uncharacteristically good race, or maybe Hungary is just a track that suits the Alpine. I don't know. Either way, our first lap on a used set of tyres this time in Q2 was a 142.3. Definitely, we know there's at least 0.6 of improvement over that. But if we can find even more to really cement our chances of getting through, then that would be fantastic. And you can see by the time we make it into the final sector, we're already 0.7 up. So I think we're going to be going through here. We do need to find some improvement. But interestingly, the cars that we're going to be knocking out, once again, just a really surprising selection of cars. You know, it's going to be the Red Bulls. It's going to be Carlos Sainz. If we get through, both Red Bulls are going to be out here because despite the fact they're right behind me, they're not on flying laps. They're on cooldown laps, which means I'm going to be the last person to cross the line. And, you know, I do improve to a 141.6, and that is going to see both of those guys out of the session. It's going to see us through to Q3 in P2. So what now I'm asking myself, is there a chance of me bagging pole position here? I don't know. But in any case, we're through to Q3 in P2. And yeah, both Red Bulls, Carlos Sainz, both HEATS as well, who have had a very strong season so far. And, well, Alex Albon, perhaps not so surprising out of everyone on this list. But the other ones, yeah, really surprising. Meanwhile, we've got both Aston Martins through, who, granted, are quite good. Both McLarens, who are kind of, you know, a middling team. And both Alfa Romeos as well. So, yeah, a really surprising result here. To see both of those Red Bulls, you know, championship contenders, Verstappen and Perez, out. And yeah, as we make our way into Q3, we do a 142.4 on a used set of softs, and we're going to see if we can gear up to challenge for pole position on a fresh set of softs in our next flying lap. Let's see, can we do it as we get ready to take control on the flying lap? And you can see that I accidentally left things a bit too late to come out, and that is going to be the end of the session. That is probably the biggest anticlimax in the history of my team career mode videos on my channel. But yes, I accidentally just left it a bit too late, and we're going to be P10.
Those who will be fronting the grid: Russell, Tsunoda, and Fernando Alonso. Goodbye for now then, but we are really just getting started. Make sure you join us again for Lights Out tomorrow.
Well, the consolation prize is that I'm not sure that I would have got pole position, but I definitely had the pace for P2 in there very comfortably. You know, that was about the time that I did in Q2, so if I could just have matched my Q2 time, I would have out-qualified Yuki Tsunoda, and I would have been P2. But can we just talk about the fact that Yuki Tsunoda has qualified P2 in an Alfa Romeo? This guy's looking seriously good right now. Yeah, I really was not expecting that one from Yuki there, but he's managed to come out all guns blazing basically, and maybe he's in with a chance of scoring a podium. I don't actually know if it would be his first podium because we've had some bloody weird podiums so far this season, but I can't remember a time when Tsunoda was on the podium, so I'll say it's his first podium in Formula One. Okay, mate, and yeah, we'll see if he can hold on to that, or maybe he'll do a Piastri-esque performance where he grabs a podium in the sprint, but nobody's really quite sure if it actually counts as a podium or not. And then he just kind of tails off in the race.
It's wet here today, and we're expecting the downpours to continue. This will make for a difficult sprint for all the teams. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting sprint. George Russell will begin today's event in pole position, and Yuki Tsunoda completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Fernando Alonso, Bottas, Stroll, Oscar Piastri, Leclerc, Norris, Zhou, Robinson, Verstappen, Perez, Sainz, Albon, Hülkenberg, Magnussen, Ocon, De Vries, Gasly, Sargent, Fittipaldi, and Dennis Hauger. And with preparations almost complete, let's head trackside for today's sprint.
Well, it looks like they've got nothing to say here, and hopefully Mark will have nothing to say as well, so there isn't that awkward bit where I'm talking over him while he's actually trying to say something important. But yeah, starting P10, if we could make up a couple positions here, we could be in the place to score points. But really, it is a little bit disappointing that we couldn't get the qualifying quite right. Because we really could have been looking at being sort of P2 here, and in a wet race it's going to be particularly hard to overtake. So I think we could have been looking at some big points in the sprint, but unfortunately instead it is going to be a P10 start for us, and we're going to need to try and work our way through the field in the wet, which is not going to be easy to do, but we'll see if we're capable of doing it. It's only intermediate conditions. I'm also running a dry setup as well, so that's probably not going to help us very much. It means our tyres are going to overheat a little bit, but I'm hoping that it'll serve us better in the race. Who knows? And yeah, we're now going to get ready to get going. I feel like the target here, like I said, just to get into the points. If I can make up a couple positions, I'll be pretty happy with that. Given that we're going to be on overheating inters, I think anything more than that is going to be, I don't know, optimistic, let's say. And yeah, we're now going to line up on the grid. Hopefully I don't overshoot the parking spot like last time. We're all good. So yeah, let's see how this is going to go. I feel like starting in the wet is a little bit harder sometimes, but hopefully we'll be able to manage as the lights come on. And the lights go out as we switch to the replay camera, and you can't really see me at the moment, to be honest, but I'm the guy who's about to pull hard to the inside of the corner. Yeah, there I am, and you can see that I'm just diving my way up the inside of Zhou Guanyu, trying to see if I can go up the inside of the McLaren as well. Zhou Guanyu has to move to the outside, and that is us already dispatching him, and now we're going to try and put some pressure on the McLaren of, I believe this is Lando Norris in front of me as well, to see if we can get up into that positive P8 position that we were looking for. And yeah, we just need to try and pile as much pressure on him as we can, burn some battery. You can see that already the cars behind are a long way back, which is good. It means that we can focus entirely on our race in front. Are we going to go for a move there on Norris? No, we're not, but there's still plenty of opportunity to try and find a place to go for a move on him. We'll see as we make our way through the chicane. Now he's going to move to the inside. Am I going to try my signature move around the outside of the hairpin? It looks like I am. I absolutely love this move. You've seen me go for it 100 times, and that is 101 right there, because we are up into P8 in the wet. We have overtaken Lando Norris, and yeah, that is very, very, very solid for us. If we can just hold on to this position now, I'll be pretty happy with that. Anything more would be a bonus, but yeah, we'll see what we're capable of doing. I feel like we are capable maybe of making up a few more positions here, especially considering we made up 2 on the opening lap. I feel like if we can get ahead of Piastri here and the McLaren, maybe start challenging the cars in front as well, you know, the Ferrari, see if we can outscore the Ferraris, because I don't think Sainz is going to be scoring points here either. Yeah, then we'll be in a really solid position championship-wise. But yeah, unfortunately, it's just very tricky conditions right now, and you're about to see that I'm struggling to get the car stopped at a good point, which means that Norris is already trying to challenge me back. He's trying to go around the outside as we move into the bus stop chicane. I almost go into the back of his teammate there because of how late I broke there to try and avoid Norris overtaking me. Somehow I avoided it, but what that did mean is that you know, Piastri's now fallen a little bit further away, and we're coming under pressure from Lando Norris once again. And there's also a Red Bull behind him for company, I believe, of Max Verstappen. So yeah, it's been a tricky opening lap. You know, we made up a good few positions, but we couldn't quite you know, get to grips with the track. We're still braking too late, but we actually turned that into our advantage here at turn 1 on lap 3 as we try and overtake Oscar Piastri. We dive up the inside of him at the first corner, and now we're going wheel to wheel. I think we're about to go wheel to wheel in the wet up Radion. Indeed we are, which is you know, it's a bold move, but yeah, we somehow managed to actually make the move stick. And we are up into P7 now, but I think Piastri is going to come back at us, and indeed he does, and we will have to make the move wait for another day before we are able to take that P7 on track. But yeah, that was some really exciting racing between myself and Piastri there to fight for P7. I really didn't expect that move would come to anything, but you know, it very nearly did. So yeah, it was pretty exciting. Unfortunately, you can see that I'm just kind of starting to lose ground to the cars in front now. I'm 2 seconds down on Oscar Piastri, and his teammate Lando Norris is closing me down at the rate of knots. You can see that Perez is also fairly close behind as well. They've got no DRS, so this is all ERS. That's the reason they're getting past me. And I don't know if my setup is just slightly better optimized through the corners or what's going on here, but it seems like they're way faster than me in a straight line at the moment, which doesn't really make much sense to me because the straight line speed of our car isn't bad or anything like that. We have a pretty decent engine. We've got low downforce. We got probably one of the best aero packages on the grid. So yeah, that was kind of strange to me. But as we make our way onto lap 8 now, coming towards the end of the sprint, you can see I don't think we're going to be scoring any points here, especially because we're struggling to keep the car on track at the moment. The tyres have gone off a little bit. I think they're overheating as well. We're coming under pressure from Max Verstappen. I don't think there's any way we're going to be able to hold him behind as we go through Blanchimont, and indeed, it's just not happening on this occasion. Verstappen makes his way into P9. We're down into P10. Is Perez going to size up and move on me as well? I don't know. He's going to try and go up the inside here at the bus stop chicane, and yeah, we just can't quite make it happen as we make our way across the line. And it's going to be P10 only, which is a little bit disappointing, but it is what it is, and hopefully we can build from that in the race. It's going to be difficult though, obviously, because we've got that 10th-place grid penalty. But in the dry, maybe we will have a lot better pace than we had in the wet.
After that excellent result, Fernando Alonso takes over the lead of the Drivers' Championship. So let's have a quick look at how the drivers' standings have changed. Well, that wraps up sprint. All that remains is the main event. We'll be live and uninterrupted for the Grand Prix tomorrow, so make sure you join us then.
Well, very exciting. That sprint was enough, with Verstappen and Perez out of contention, was enough for Fernando Alonso to pick up P4 there and take the lead of the Drivers' Championship. So, in his final season in Formula 1, Fernando Alonso is currently leading the Formula 1 World Championship, and who knows, maybe he will just about be able to hold on to this for the remainder of the season, and maybe he'll be able to claim that coveted third Drivers' Championship that he has been praying for since 2007. I would be, what a storyline that would be if he's capable of doing that. But there's still a long way to go, still almost 10 laps, so it's going to be a big ask for him. We're going to try and get maybe an upgrade on the car before we get into the race, and I think we have one aero upgrade possible for us to get, this major front downforce upgrade. Not that we need any more downforce, we already have the best aero package on the grid, but every little helps, so that's what we're going to try and do. And now it is time for us to get into the race.
It's the Belgian Grand Prix, the site of the maiden victory of the Jordan team in 1998. The venue that Michael Schumacher made his debut in Formula 1. There is so much history here amongst the beautiful nature. Today we go racing through the Ardennes forest. 4.3 miles of long straights, fast corners and huge elevation changes. The Turn 1 hairpin at La Source is straight into Eau Rouge, eventually climbing into Raidillon. It is an opening salvo like no other. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. What a qualifying yesterday for George Russell. He'll start today's race from pole position, and Yuki Tsunoda completes the front row. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Bottas, Fernando Alonso, Stroll, Leclerc, Oscar Piastri, Norris, Verstappen, Perez, Sainz, Hülkenberg, Magnussen, Sargent, Gasly, Fittipaldi, De Vries, Robinson, Hauger, Ocon, Joe, and Alex Albon picks up the last spot on the grid. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. It's an absolute pleasure to be joined once again by Anthony Davidson. Let's briefly talk about Esteban Ocon. Joined once again by Anthony Davidson in the commentary box. And they've suffered a grid penalty due to taking a new engine. It could mean a tough race in store.
But on the bright side, at least those fresh components can help them maintain the power they need to come through the pack. I expect to see them take a more aggressive approach today to make up for the compromised start.
Right then, we're starting P18 in the Belgian Grand Prix. This is not going to be an easy task whatsoever for us to make our way all the way through the pack up into the top 10. But I'm feeling optimistic about our chances. We've got a lot of slower cars ahead of us. At least the Alpines, the Williamses, the Alpha Tauris. Those guys I should be able to clear with speed.
Okay,
After that, it gets a little bit more difficult. Once we come up to the Haas's and the Red Bulls and the McLarens, I think then we're going to have a real task on our hands to try and make our way through the field. So if we don't score points here today, it's not the end of the world, but I would at least try to make our way through the field as much as I can. I don't want to just sit around at the back here if we can avoid it. But we get a 0.1 meter parking there. I'm feeling pretty optimistic about our chances. Let's see what we can do as the lights come on. And the lights go out for the second time at the Belgian Grand Prix weekend. Gasly's had a shocking start there, and De Vries hasn't had a better one either. So we've already managed to make our way up 2, 3, maybe 4 positions as we try and go up the inside of Logan Sargent here. It's going to be wheel to wheel between myself and the American here as we come on the run down to Eau Rouge. And we're going to be wheel to wheel. And actually, we've hit the wall there, and that has caused us some minor front wing damage. It's not terrible, and I think we can probably keep going on that. But it is going to compromise us through the corners a tiny bit, and it's also compromised our run, which means that Sargent has been very capable of making his way through and up into P14 once again. And my goodness, that is not how I wanted my race to start. We broke a little bit late there as well. We had to bail out of that one, and that has allowed Sargent's Williams teammate Enzo Fittipaldi to make his way through and up into P15. So we've already lost out a couple of the positions that we were thinking about making the move on, and that is a little bit disappointing for us, because I was really hoping that we would be able to make up those positions. But alas, we just have to do what we can. But it's not over yet. There's still a long race to go, 22 laps, and we'll see if we can get ahead of these Williams guys once again. At minimum, they're not one of the strongest cars on the grid at the moment, and they also don't have the strongest driver pairing in Formula 1. No shade on either of these drivers. They're perfectly competent. But, if you ask me, would I rather have Hamilton and Russell on my team or Sargent and Fittipaldi, I'd probably pick the former. Anyway, we move now to lap 2, going up the inside of Fittipaldi there from a long way back. Actually, we managed to make the move stick. I realise now that I said that thing about Hamilton and Russell, when in fact it's Hamilton's retired and it's Russell and Bottas. But I think I'd still rather have Russell and Bottas than this pairing, to be honest. Still a very strong lineup. Maybe I should have said like Leclerc and Sainz, or Norris and Piastri, or something like that. Anyway, I'm rambling now. We're up into P15 once again, and we're going to see if we can close the gap to the medium compound runner of Logan Sargent on in the Williams car, and see if we can close him down. But we're not going to. We're not going to be able to catch him that easily, unfortunately. It seems like he's got about the same pace as us, as we make one track limits breach already, and now we have to be a little bit careful, because we don't want to get too many of those, or we are going to start getting some penalties, and that is the last thing we want. Well, actually, the last thing we want is probably to be overtaken, which is exactly what's happened, as Enzo Fittipaldi makes his way back into P15, and we're down into P16 again. And somehow, it just seems like I just don't have the pace to contend with these guys right now. I don't know if it was my tyre strategy, but then again, they're on the same tyre strategy. So, I really don't know. But we've taken so much out of these soft compound tyres already that I'm really wondering if they'll even make it to the pit stop on lap 9. Because, Fittipaldi's broken away by 3 seconds. Meanwhile, Ocon and Hauger have closed me down. It must be something to do with my driving here at the moment, because the Belgian Grand Prix did not go this poorly for us last season. I seem to remember that we had a pretty strong one. I don't remember if we scored points or not, but it definitely wasn't we're running in P17 and sort of, just doing nothing as we get overtaken by Ocon there. But, it just really seems like this one is not going our way right now. So we'll see what we can do, see if we can fight back against these guys any, but I'm not particularly optimistic. It doesn't seem like the pace is going to get better. I know we got that front wing damage, but it's not causing us to lose, a second a lap to an Alpine, surely, because Ocon was 3 seconds up the road at that point. So, I really have no clue what is going on here and why our pace is so shockingly bad. But we're going to see if we can do anything to address it now. We're going to come into the pits. We're going to try to fix that front wing as well, which might cost us some time, but I'm hoping will pay off for us in the long run when we actually have a functioning front wing, as we make our way into the box And yeah, that is going to be a 7-second roughly stop for us, I think. Yep, 7.6,
Okay, mate,
and that is
Go,
going to
go.
allow
Perfect
all
job
of the
on the
cars
turn in there, mate.
who were
Looks
behind
like a
us
nice
before
stop time.
to
We're
jump
happy
us in
with
the
that
pit
one.
stop
Look
phase,
after these
and
tyres now,
we
and
are
we'll finish the
briefly
race on
down
this
into
compound.
last. However, I believe Nick De Vries is yet to pit at the moment, so at least that's going to be one position that we're going to be able to make up. I don't know why he's going so slow. Maybe he picked up some damage at the beginning or something like that, because I mean, he is legitimately a pit stop behind his teammate after 9 laps, which is absolutely absurd, even by De Vries' standards. You know, I don't know if this game has just made him absolutely terrible or whether he does have damage, but you can see that, you know, I might be on a fresh set of mediums here, but I've closed him down by 3 seconds over the course of 2 sectors. What is that about? Surely he must have some kind of issue or something like that. I should have asked my engineer what the deal was with De Vries, because this is just embarrassing for him, quite frankly. And yeah, we're already closing him down as we come into the bus stop chicane, and we're going to see if we can try and out-drag him on the exit of the bus stop chicane. And you can see it's not even a contest there. We got the DRS, we got the ERS. We're already ahead of him before we even make it to the braking zone. It's yeah, absolutely shocking there from Nick De Vries, and not what he would want whatsoever. And speaking of not what someone would want whatsoever, this is Valtteri Bottas, who was running in P3 here in the Belgian Grand Prix, and is now running not. So yeah, disappointing for Bottas, but yeah, I think that's his second retirement in like 3 races, something like that, because he also retired from the lead of the French Grand Prix just a few races ago. So yeah, not going well for the man from Finland there. But meanwhile, we've managed to make our way into a slightly elevated position of P19. I know, wow, incredible scenes. But I don't know if it's going to last that much longer, because Pierre Gasly is on the hard compound tyres and is closing us down. So I think that it could be him making his way through into P19 now, and indeed he has done exactly that. That is not what we wanted whatsoever, but with only 6 laps to go, I do kind of I'm unable to shake the feeling that this is going to be where we finish now. I don't think De Vries is going to catch us, but we just don't seem to have the pace to race with anyone else. Even on these brand new tyres, it still wasn't enough. I don't know why, but the mediums didn't seem to work for us either. But speaking of things not working out, this is Dennis Hauger. He was running in an all right P18. He was ahead of some people, including me, so I can't really judge him too much. And his car's only gone and bloody blown up. So yeah, for the second race in a row, we are going to be having a DNF within the team. This time it's going to be on the Hauger side of things.
Let's go.
But still very, very frustrating, and not what we wanted to see at all. Meanwhile, over the course of the last 6 laps, I've gained another 13 seconds on Nick De Vries. I genuinely don't know what's going on with him right now. Surely if he had damage that severe, he would have no choice but to retire from the Grand Prix. I don't know what kind of issue he has that's causing him to go that slowly, but you know, and I'm going a lot slower than everyone else as well. You can see Gasly overtook me on lap 16, which means he's moving away by over a second a lap on me. And yeah, I really just don't get why we had absolutely zero pace here. You know, everything seemed to point towards the idea that we were going to be pretty good, but maybe my setup just wasn't right for this track, or maybe we just need more engine upgrades or something like that. I don't know, but either way, I'm going to get to the bottom of this, because this was an unacceptable race as we round the final corner and cross the line to take a very, very poor P19 finish. It just needs to be better than that. You know, and even on our worst race, we should be finishing just outside of the points. Definitely not P19. So yeah, we're going to have to regroup, figure out what happened there, and make sure it never, ever happens again.
A difficult race then on one of the all-time classic circuits, but they've persevered to take the win here today. Anthony Davidson, a resounding victory today. What set them apart from the rest?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
And I can see the drivers starting to approach the podium for the victory celebrations. A real team victory today. Everyone played their part. Congratulations then to Mercedes, your race winners today.
Well, what an exciting podium. The defending world champion George Russell wins again, and he is really building his way back into this championship slowly but surely, and I don't think he's out of it yet. Meanwhile, championship leader and 2-time world champion Fernando Alonso is also you know, going to be making sure that Russell can't close him down if he possibly can, and then we've got Charles Leclerc, who is also there, I guess. So yeah, congratulations to those three.
It's a great result for Fernando Alonso, who moves further ahead at the top of the table. So let's review the drivers' standings. So let's discuss, Ant. Who would you say is a contender for your driver of the day?
There's a few contenders, but George Russell definitely stood out, I think. A really solid drive from him today, and one I'm sure the fans enjoyed.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. It was a tough race for our championship leaders, who lose ground at the top of the table. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time? Be sure to join us again as we continue to bring you the latest excitement in Formula One.
Yeah, it's getting pretty exciting now in the Drivers' Championship, I would say, as George Russell has entered the fight fully now. He is just 16 points away from Fernando Alonso, as well as Max Verstappen being 16 points away. So there is a tie for the lead of the or for the second place in the championship between Russell and Verstappen. And then Perez is a bit further afield now. For someone who had such a strong start to the season, Perez has really tailed off recently, you know, struggling to score points at all anymore. Just completely unacceptable, and I wouldn't be surprised maybe if we saw someone else in that Red Bull seat come next season. But you know, if we could predict the future, we'd all be very rich, as they say in that one interview answer in Football Manager. Yeah, we ourselves had a very poor race, but it hopefully hasn't affected us too much. We still sit P5 in the drivers and P6 in the constructors, so that's where I want to be right now. I'm going to see if I can bounce back in the Netherlands. Obviously, it's not the easiest track in the world, but it is one that I have gone quite well at in the past. In previous years' games, I obviously picked up a couple of wins there in F1 22, and I don't remember what our race was like last season. I don't feel like we scored points there, if I remember correctly. But you know, we have a faster car. It's a different situation now, different season. Things have changed, and I'm hoping that with those changes, we will be able to pick up at least a few points. You know, just to get ourselves back in that fight for the points. If we're not careful, obviously McLaren could potentially close us down for P6 in the constructors, and we don't want that because we're going to get a massive cash bonus if we can hold off McLaren in the constructors championship. You know, there's only what 8 or 9 races left to go. I can't remember exactly, and we do have a real chance of getting this P6 in the constructors, which at one point this season it really didn't look like we were going to. So yeah, I just want to do what I can to try and keep hold of that if we possibly can. But yeah, that is the Belgian Grand Prix wrapped up. Not too much more to say about it, other than just that I was immensely disappointed with the pace that we showed, and I can only hope that in the next race we don't show that kind of pace anymore. You know, that we actually bounce back from it, we learn from it, and we can build from it. You know, obviously the Netherlands is a very different track to Belgium. It's not so high speed dependent. There obviously are a few big straights, but generally speaking it's much more focused on aero in particular, which I think is going to suit our car down to the ground because we have such a strong aero package. I'm wondering if maybe the reason why we are having a few issues is because I hear Arava talking about this sometimes. I don't know if it's true or not, but he certainly seems to think it is, that if you don't upgrade evenly, then sometimes some departments can kind of, you know, they can't keep up in terms of their performance with the other departments. And maybe it's because we've got such a strong aero package that the engine department is struggling to keep up with our aero package. I don't know, but certainly something needs to be addressed about it, regardless of what the reason for it is. It needs to change, and fast. But that is going to be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, make sure you like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.